All right. Albie B, my goodness, we just went to our fat count today, and you look friggin' great.
Thank you, honey. I had a really good report card.
It's funny, you hit this ultra hot phase now, and you are out in the town like nothing. My goodness. You know who you are? You're my...
Going to Jeff Deal events. They're really hopping.
You're my Olivia Wilde.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I don't think
what's happening
so.
here. So, we went to, no, what I want to mention there's a viral video out showing how they make the McRib.
Okay.
And it shows them, they have a little griddle thing and like a sandwich
They squeeze it into like the shape.
Well, they by the time this video starts, they've got it, it's just frozen pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And they pour the stuff on it, whatever. It's like, what do people expect? There's like a chef from Lucerne, back there.
There's a butcher specifically butchering the pig into McRibs, honey.
And it's specially aged. Each one aged over 2 years. It's like, yeah, I know it's just prefab. I assume everything at McDonald's is prefab.
The McRib is great, though.
It's just fine. It's just fine. Oh,
can I tell you something? What is it?
My medicines have arrived.
Oh, that's exciting. Morgan says he's tried cow tipping. Tom's shirt says nothing tips like a cow.
Yes.
My daughter and I got it for him in Wisconsin when we were there for the Serbian Singing Federation Festival.
Yeah.
And and cow tipping is a thing. I actually know a girl from Wisconsin, and she and her friends did that. Like,
it's terribly cruel. It's not.
Yeah,
nice.
No, it's not. It's mean.
And it's mean, and it can certainly hurt them. Morgan says he tried. It's not easy. We tried. It didn't work. Where does Morgan live? Morgan, where do you live?
Vermont.
Oh, he does. Okay,
yes.
So my dad is from Vermont, so that's where he was.
Mm-hmm.
He and his friends did it. He in the 50s, he used to smoke corn silk.
Does that do anything?
I don't know, but they would smoke it and they would tip cows. And
it's very Vermont, I guess.
Right, and actually there's more breweries up there and more leaf peeping tours, but back then at least the town had a theater and stuff like that. But okay, so where do we start, Alice? We start where the world is starting today. We got a lot to do in not much time because you've got to get up there and will you be dancing with other men at this event?
I don't think so. I don't think there's dancing.
No.
This isn't like the Scott Brown
Tom,
one where there's
Gigi,
a dance floor.
No, Tom, I'm married is an answer that could also come. I don't think so. Perhaps if Asuda should ask me, I may just have to take to the dance floor.
No, I don't think there's dancing at this event.
If you're at the event, ask Alice to dance. Ply her with martinis.
I don't even know if there's music. Can't have martinis.
You are looking lovely, ma'am. All right, let's get to...
Olives are a limited vegetable for me, and I am on fire with my weight loss. I have lost 22 pounds of pure fat.
I underachieved. This body that I'm dealing with right now is hotter than the 23-year-old
I'm down to 20% body fat.
As she happily accepts that compliment. My God, once a yacht bunny, always a yacht bunny. It is so funny. I'm all about it, though. Who cares? Life's short, you know?
But you lost weight, too.
Yeah, I did.
You're still not a huge amount by but they gave you some tips.
Yes.
So
I am floating around. I'm essentially 5 pounds away from the 300 mark. I should be probably like 285 now, but I lack discipline.
The thing is, you cheat, but like not even with anything good. You're like cheating by like scarfing down 50 of the diet foods in the middle of the night.
Yeah, when I went house last night on some of the crisps, they're made of flaxseed or whatever. But like they to me last night, my mind said, "Tom, these are Doritos. Go nuts," and I did. Battle for the Senate. This is the RCP projection. Democrats. This is the RCP projection. They project 53 Republicans.
Wow.
Will be in the Senate after this election is done, and 47 Democrats. That gives the Republicans Georgia, which I believe the decision desk called that. So they're just copying the decision desk. Arizona and Nevada.
They must have been listening, honey.
And Pennsylvania, obviously. And so we'll start with Pennsylvania too. By now you guys have probably heard this in one place or another, everywhere. John Fetterman had a night last night, and it was not great. Perhaps somebody should have thought of this before they brought him out there, because Fetterman did not. It was it was tough. I mean, this is a guy who had a stroke, and it's just he's not ready.
Mr. Fetterman, you are first. 90 seconds.
Once again, I would just like to say that my campaign is all about fighting for anyone in Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that had to get back up again. I'm also fighting for any forgotten community all across Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that had to be made to get back up. I've made my entire career dedicating to those kinds of pursuits. I started as a GED instructor back in Braddock over 20 years ago because I believe it's about serving Pennsylvania, not about using Pennsylvania for their own end interests as well. To me, careers are revealed by your real underlying values, and my values have always been about fighting for forgotten communities all across Pennsylvania.
All right.
So you can tell that he knows the general talking point.
Yeah.
He's just having a hard time grasping how to deliver it.
Right. And it's like, I mean, it's terrible to listen to and painful and horrific. And it's unbelievable that there are still even people who are talking about voting for the guy at this point. But there are, unfortunately. I don't think as many as the polls seem to think that there are. But, this is shameful, really. It's shameful that his campaign put him out there in this condition. It's shameful that his wife put him out there in this condition. It's really like it, we joke about Jill doing this to Biden, but this is like an order of magnitude worse. This makes Biden look on top of his faculties and everything.
Yes.
in full
I
command.
think it's critical that we be consistent, and I do not believe in supporting the Supreme Court. So I think it's critical.
Let's see.
Do you have the Statue of Liberty one?
Last week, you released this note from your doctor saying you can work full duty in public office, but you have not released your detailed medical records surrounding your stroke. Mr. Fetterman, will you pledge tonight to release those records in the interest of transparency? You have 60 seconds.
No. To me, for transparency is about showing up. I'm here today to have a debate. I have, speeches in front of 3,000 people in Montgomery County, all across Pennsylvania, big crowds. I believe if my doctor believes that I'm fit to serve, and that's what I believe is appropriate. And now with 2 weeks before the election, I have run a campaign, and I've been very transparent about being very open about the fact we're going to use captioning. And I believe that, again, my doctors, the real doctors that I believe in, they all believe that I'm ready to be served.
Follow up. I didn't hear you say you would release your full medical records. Why not? You have 30 seconds.
No. Again, my Dr. L believes that I'm fit to be serving, and that's what I believe is where I'm standing.
Okay.
Oh, was that a shot in there, by the way, when he said real doctors, as in Dr. Oz is not one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and you can tell he's been prepped with some lines and stuff to say, which mostly come out garbled, but you can hear in there a communications shop working to craft something and get him to memorize it so he can spit it back out. You can hear some of that. But Morgan raises a great point in this chat, which is that a bunch of people have already voted for him. There's been early voting for like a month in Pennsylvania. And it's very, very clear that while they were avoiding debates, they did take this one, but like way into when a bunch of people have already voted. And the thing about that is, too, is that puts into context what the media was doing with the MSNBC interview, where they introduced the concept that he can't actually understand what people are saying to him without having it in closed captions. And they can't, like, how it's a drip, drip, thing. They were like softening people up for the idea because they knew that having kept a lid on how bad his condition was for this many months, if they jumped right to this debate with him talking like he's 6 years old and unable to find words, that there would have been mass outrage and horror and why did the media not cover this at all?
Yeah, but I get it, but I mean, first of all, that MSNBC interview torpedoed him. That was pretty devastating. Well,
reporter. Yeah,
but also,
how much more devastating would this debate have been if people weren't already mentally prepared for the fact that he can't speak?
Well, I mean, then that's hats off to the Democrats in Pennsylvania. They've got a problem candidate, and they're finding a way. And the early voting thing as well. I mean,
totally.
It's not good for the democracy to have early voting.
No, it's terrible for democracy to have early voting. It's really bad. Election day is supposed to be a snapshot in time. And if you need to have like a couple days worth of absentee ballots where people go to the election office in advance and vote in person and sign an affidavit to say they're not going to be there, that's what it used to be like, right? Our election commissioner, where I used to live, there was, she knew like a bunch of the old people in town would like just vote absentee to take care of it so they didn't have to come down when it was busy. And she would yell at people. She'd be like, if I see you wandering around down here on election day, I'm going to throw out your ballot. Like, because she knew that like people would just use it for convenience. But, you know, that's the advent of all these things. Mail-in voting, no excuse, absentee voting. Like, you should have to say you have a reason why you can't make it on election day. You should have to vote on election day, you know, barring specific circumstances, right? Like, I'm going to be out of state on election day. I'm going to have to vote absentee this year because I won't be here. Right. But I'm going to go vote in person because I don't agree with the mail-in and the drop-off ballots, which, by the way, brings me to last night I was out with a bunch of great Republicans watching. They rented the Salisbury Vision Max Theater next to the... What?
Did you guys raid any pizza places with shotguns looking for child molesters? Or?
No.
Alice went full QAnon last night. You gotta admit, you're a pretty attractive QAnon.
I'm not QAnon. But
by the way, you left your antlers in the car, so bring those the next time.
Yeah. Then I was at Sylvan Street Grill in my little antlers, having a good time with my friends.
Right, what were you doing at Sylvan Street Grill?
We went out for an Awaken 180 approved vodka soda after the movie.
My God, you are the absolute just a socialite these days.
With the girls.
Oh, how many vodka sodas did we have when we went out?
2.
Times 6.
No, I had 2. Ask anybody.
When you have your torrid affair while you're out there,
have an affair. Do you think I seriously want another idiot man in my life that I like have to have sex with?
I didn't say it would be with a man, Alice. Yacht bunnies are known to swing from side to side.
It's not the case.
My question is, will you have enough respect to talk about it on this show so that it's very intriguing? Will be very intriguing content.
If I have an affair, which I won't,
I'll
talk about it on the show for you.
Would you ever consider, because we had our neighbor over the other day, and she mentioned this thing that a pineapple means swinging.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever consider having a threesome?
No.
Have you ever had a threesome?
No. No. And it's funny that you say that, though, because my friend who's single...
My Geiger counter's going...
My friend who's single was showing me on her...
a lie detector test. That's not Geiger counter. I'm sorry. I'm Tom Fetterman.
Maybe I am radioactive. Who knows? Ooh. I did get that mRNA vaccine. But, so anyway...
Alice Shattuck's second best line of the year. Nicely done.
What was my first best line?
By the way, there was also another near header at the beginning of this. Go ahead.
That's why it took me a minute to reset the cameras because I knocked everything. But
go ahead. You were out getting drunk and...
No, I wasn't. Wait, how did the topic get changed?
Because you were out with you, Dinesh D'Souza, and Steve Bannon and Roger Stone were out yesterday.
I did like the movie, though. I'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's the direction I was hoping to go into with this podcast.
But where was I? Oh, my single friend was showing me her Tinder. Mm-hmm. So, and like swiping on people. Mm-hmm. And like, it is bleak out there. I am sorry, those of you who are single, and like this reaffirmed my resolve that I'm never going to date again the rest of my life. Like, I absolutely refuse.
I should get on Tinder.
I'm either going to die before you or I'm going to be a widow forever. Like, I'm just not the Tinder selections were pretty scary.
I have seen I have a single friend too. And I have seen some of the selections for him, and I have been horrified.
It's just as bad on the men's side. But the reason why I brought it up... I don't get it,
because my friend's wife is hot, or ex-wife is hot. How come he can't now trade laterally for another hot one? He's got to pay...
No, that's what I was telling you, is like marriage is truly the best deal, right? Is like... you get to sleep with someone hot, and then the guy stays with you if you get unhot. You know what I mean? Like you have a commitment to
That's
each other.
in my case.
So it works out.
In your case,
it works
your
out for
husband
everybody.
remained hot. So
No, but then I don't have to like go on Tinder and try and date other people, which I don't want to have to do. So it's like, it's a very mutually beneficial contract that we're involved in here. I really enjoy it. I'm very glad that we're together. So anyway.
it's a good deal for you anyway.
So anyway, the reason why I brought that up because you
Can
mentioned
imagine
swinging,
can
because one of the people
Yeah.
that was on the Tinder was a dude who was like, me and my wife are looking for a unicorn who wants to like hook up with both of us.
Ooh.
Ugh. Can you imagine? Freaking terrible.
Hey, how about this? What if I got like Kate Upton to want to have a threesome? Would you?
No,
No?
I don't want to
Not-
have a threesome.
Not Kate Upton.
No.
Not Emily Ratajkowski.
I'm
whatever?
not attracted to Kate Upton.
What supermodel women are you attracted to?
I'm not.
What woman are you
I'm
attracted
not.
to?
No, I'm not.
There's no
though.
woman I could get involved here.
No.
It's
not. I don't. Yeah.
Well-
I don't need that in my life. I don't.
It would be kind of cool for me.
No.
All right, let's listen to Fetterman talk about the Statue of Liberty, okay?
Okay.
I would be very disappointed if I died and you dated Fetterman. I understand that he's not as fat as I am, but come on.
For you, Mr. Fetterman, Vice President Kamala Harris says the southern border is secure, yet we are seeing an unprecedented number of migrants crossing. Is the border secure? And if not, what would you do to fix what both parties are calling a crisis? You have 60 seconds, Mr. Fetterman.
You know, I believe that a secure border can be compatible with compassion. I believe we need a comprehensive and bipartisan solution for immigration. That's what I believe. I don't ever recall in the Statue of Liberty did they say, take our tired, huddled masses and put them on a bus and use cheap political stunts about them. I believe we have to develop a comprehensive and bipartisan solution to address our issue here for immigration here in our nation.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, anything you want more Fetterman, or are you done?
I mean, they're all like that. Every
Yeah.
answer that he gave was like that. And that's why I say, like, it's kind of humorous, but it's also freaking terrible to watch. And everybody involved in putting him out there
so
like
let's
that
get the White House
should just
response
be...
to some of the Fetterman stuff, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
Was the White House in any way surprised by the performance of the lieutenant governor in the debate? I know that people here, including not just the president, but others have been in touch with him. But was there any surprise in terms of how he performed, given the auditory processing, given the high profile of the evening and that sort of thing? Was it a surprise to the White House at all?
So look, it's been a busy day. As you know, you guys have been watching the president. He gave a speech on junk fees, which is going to be incredibly important to the American people, saving American people $24 billion. So that was something that he was certainly focused on.
Here we go. Here's another one.
Thanks. I'd like to follow up on something you were asked Monday about presidential press conferences. It's
Oh, no,
been
no,
since
this is different. Sorry, let me try to get to... I thought there was one more Fetterman.
Well, the main thing that people on the left have been saying now is that if you point out that Fetterman... Okay, go ahead.
Here we go.
The president's frequently talked about transparency, and so has this administration. Does the president believe that Fetterman should release his medical records?
I've been asked this question, and I leave that over to the lieutenant governor to make that decision.
Yeah, they're not going to say anything about it. They don't want to be involved. But everybody's like...
Given the amount of time that the president has spent with Fetterman and the conversation that is happening today in the wake of last night's debate performance, does the president have any concerns about, has he ever raised, either in conversation with you that you've been a part of,
She
or
does not
with
look
others here at the
comfortable.
White House, any concerns about his health?
So I'll say this, in personal conversations that the president has had with the lieutenant governor, the president has found him to be impressive.
So this is Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware talking about that debate.
Why would you say that voters should be more concerned about, say, Mehmet Oz, including his problematic abortion answer, than John Fetterman, including his problematic fracking answer and his health issues?
Well, Brianna, those are exactly the sorts of things that Pennsylvanians will be weighing in the just 12 days left of campaigning before the midterm elections. I watched the debate last night. It was hard to watch, frankly.
Whoa. I've always hated Chris Coons. I hate him less. At least he
Chris Cuomo was pretty honest about it too. That like obviously this is going to be the issue, and like something like 80-something% of the people that they asked right after the debate, who do you think won, said they thought Mehmet Oz won. So, which doesn't necessarily mean that they might not still vote for him if they're super partisan. Somebody just sent me like a text from a friend of a friend who's liberal, who wrote a whole screed on their Facebook wall about how like they don't care how he did in the debate because he's unpolished and isn't as fancy as Oz because he's like fights for the working class and cares about the unjustly incarcerated and all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I guess if your issue is releasing criminals from jail and making sure there's more drugs available on the streets and like,
but if it was Oz who had the stroke, I would still be supporting him. You know, I'd still be saying, hey, well, he's the Republican. Here we go. Feel dirty, but here we go. So a couple of personal...
but the ableism charge is like a little...
3 personal items, Alice, today. 3 personal items.
I'm not allowed to talk about the ableism?
Okay, please go ahead.
Because MSNBC's reporting Oz bullies Fetterman for missing debates due to stroke. Just him showing up for the debate was bullying. And they're all saying... this Liz Plank on MSNBC, when your side is so bad, you have to rely on ableism to win. It's not a reasonable thing to say senators should be able to talk and understand other humans speaking to them. But that's literally where they are. I mean, one of the people, like this Bernie Sanders guy, tweeted that just senators have to be able to say yay or nay. They don't have to be able to cognitively function. So, as they say, that I hate, but like quiet part out loud, like.
But I mean, there is some truth to that. Strom Thurmond was useless towards the end. Byrd was useless to the end. Teddy Kennedy was still.
I mean, do we think
voting.
Chuck Grassley is like really?
McCain was. Of course they had cancer and they were. It's.
But it's sort of different to like have that like develop while the person's in office, and to elect somebody who's already like that before they even go there. Like those. I mean. I know that functionally it's not different once they're there, but I actually think it's bad that we have a bunch of people in the Senate who can't function. And I don't think we should. And like, I know sometimes that what's her name? Barbara Boxer too.
Yeah.
Isn't she like
96 or something?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, I know that they just never leave, and so they end up starting to be like that over time. But when you put it on display how much Fetterman's like that already, and he might recover more from his stroke. Like, I hope he does. I hope he goes to rehab and he feels better, because I wouldn't wish that on anybody to be like that. And it's worse. I especially wouldn't wish it on anybody to be in that condition and to have your family and your loved ones making you go out there and do that and embarrass yourself. Like, can you imagine? That's terrible. That's terrible. Can you imagine how much his wife must hate him to put him out there looking like that?
Yeah, I agree.
It's psychotic. It's crazy. But the replies is all full of crazy people. Quick reminder, if John Fetterman needing to use reasonable and protected accommodations make you second guess your vote, you might need to think about how ableism has impacted the way you perceive the world. Disability is not a disqualifier. # Crip the vote.
Oh, that's great. Is that Crip as in cripple?
Yeah.
That's
Crip the vote. Yeah.
Great.
Ableism at its finest. Imagine having to take care of your loved one when you're like that. Are you going to turn your back on them? Recovery doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, no kidding. That's why he shouldn't be running for freaking Senate right now. Like, if you were like that, you would take time off work, wouldn't you? You wouldn't keep showing up at work.
You need
like,
to put your Himalayan salt lights on.
They are on.
Oh.
Say they're just low in battery. So, but if you were working, say, in like e-commerce or something, your job wouldn't make you keep showing up if you were like
I'm in a job right now, Alice, where people specifically can't see me. Oddly enough, I haven't gotten many TV offers. I don't know why that is.
But imagine, though, if you at your job talking on the radio, like started to talk like John Fetterman.
Right. Well, that would be a problem.
And you were still on the radio.
Right.
And people were like, it's ableist to say that he can't still be on the radio. Like, that would be freaking weird. Like, people would say, go home, get better from your stroke, and then we'll talk. But
okay, can we move from Fetterman? Okay. 3 victories today. Happy anniversary, Allison. You have a beautiful family. Who's that from?
Who?
Is it our anniversary?
No.
Who's that then?
I don't know.
I can't actually see it.
I don't know. What are you looking at?
Happy anniversary. I don't know. Okay, so listen to this. So, obviously there is fatism is what I deal with constantly. If finally Joe Biden, I'm now on Team Biden, is standing up for my people.
Decision. Some airlines, if you want 6 more inches between you and the seat in front, you pay more money. But you don't know it until you purchase your ticket.
Isn't that when you're
Look,
supposed
folks,
to find
these are
out?
junk fees. They're unfair and they hit marginalized Americans the hardest, especially low-income folks and people of color. They benefit big corporations, not consumers.
Now, it is notable that he's saying black people are too fat for airplanes. It just seems like an inartful thing to say. That said, my people are going to get represented. I want bigger seats for all of us. That's exactly right, because through no fault of my own,
the fees are unfair to people of color and Tom Shattuck.
I want, as a matter of fact, it's right. As a matter of fact,
all the marginalized people.
As a matter of fact, I would like some plain seat forgiveness in the form of money, $10,000 voucher from you skinnies who have skinny privilege. That's one thing. The second thing that is great.
So does this actually mean you can't buy better seats on the airplane now? Like that's banned? So will all the seats be the same price, or how will this work?
I don't know. You guys have to pay for my seat, I think is the way I want it to work.
Okay. But yeah, so they went after, they had this whole thing about everything that they're doing for to help with the economic situation and all this stuff, and they're doing junk fees, which is not a phrase that I ever heard before today, but they're talking about this is have you heard the phrase junk fees before?
No, I assume it's for luggage, for headphones and all this and that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, can I move along?
Yeah, but he did a whole speech at this where he said, we know Americans are hurting because Putin invaded Ukraine and all these other things, but we're doing so much to fight it. We're eliminating airline seat fees.
I'm an airline seat fee voter.
Legro.
Alice, I'm an airline seat fee voter.
But he's doing a lot of fees, a fee if someone bounces a check to you, and they're targeting all kinds of junk fees.
And I want scale intimidation to go away. I was just weighed today at Awaken 180. I want scale intimidation to go away.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of attractive young people around that place, and they got to see that the number was a number that was over 3. You know what that does to a fellow like me? 86052. Okay.
Stop.
Mainwire.com. TheMainWire.com. Superintendent who banned Halloween, Columbus Day, jobless again by our friend Steve Robinson from The Main Wire.
Mm-hmm.
Former Scarborough School Superintendent Julie Kukenberger has another acrimonious school departure in her wake as she leaves her job with the Melrose, Mass. Public Schools. The school committee has been notified that Superintendent Julie Kukenberger will not seek a successor contract with the Melrose Public Schools. Kukenberger, who has worked in education since 2005, was a superintendent of the Scarborough Schools from 2016 to 2019 and the interim superintendent in the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District in the spring of 2020. She won the job of Melrose Schools superintendent, beating 32 other applicants. That's amazing. In Melrose,
how do they pick them?
In Melrose, Kukenberger's tenure was marked by strident advocacy for left-wing crusades. Steve's a great writer, including switching Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, changing the school mascot from the Raiders to the Redhawks, and de-emphasizing Halloween celebrations. Kukenberger attracted national attention for unilaterally canceling Halloween in the school system. And then he has the Kimmel cut.
Those of you watching at home are safe and sound as a storm pounds the northeastern United States, threatening Halloween celebrations this weekend, particularly in New England, where they're already threatened by humans, by people who are trying to take Halloween away. I know the country is very divided right now, but this, I believe, might be the kind of thing that will unite us. Maybe not, probably not. But there's a school district in Melrose, Massachusetts, just a few miles north of Boston, that has decided to, quote, de-emphasize Halloween. And not because of COVID. That has nothing to do with COVID. Schools will not host their annual Halloween festivities this year thanks to a new policy. Superintendent Julie Kukenberger sent a letter to parents, says, over the past several years, MPS has worked to de-emphasize Halloween, shift our focus toward community building through fall celebrations. As we work to address unfinished learning, two of our key priorities are equity and the inclusion of all students and fostering a sense of belonging and partnership with students, family, and staff. And I guess that means no Halloween party? I don't know why. Sounds to me like maybe Julie Kukenberger couldn't think of a fun costume, so she ruined it for everyone. Parents have started a petition to bring Halloween back to the school, but the district is standing pat. Kukenberger said there are people who don't celebrate Halloween, students, and that means those kids might not come to school at all that day, which, all right, problem solved then, right? I mean, then nobody's, I don't know, bring on the Skittles, right? Who is... maybe I'm being obtuse, but who's feeling marginalized by a Halloween party? Goblin Americans? I don't know. All I know for sure is there are about to be a lot of eggs thrown at the Kukenberger house. Instead of de-emphasizing Halloween, what they need is an alternate, non-offensive name for the holiday at the end of October. It could be freely celebrated at schools, inclusively, for all. And because we like to be helpful, we came up with some ideas. National Gourd Appreciation Day, Squashashana, children dress slightly differently than they normally do every day, the Festival of Non-Terrifying Eco-Friendly Rubber Masks, Dracula Labor Day, All Snickers Eve, Afterlife Awareness Day, Just Let the Theater Kids Go Nuts Night, and something we can all get behind, Rob Schneider's birthday. So 58 this year. So happy birthday.
So there you go. Robinson continues, at the same time Kukenberger was taking a stand against Native American-themed mascots, the famous Italian cultural icon, and Halloween, schools in Massachusetts and across America were struggling to teach kids math and reading, according to student test results released Monday by the Federal Department of Education. In Maine, Kukenberger became a lightning rod for drama and conflict during her brief tenure as a superintendent in Scarborough. In 2018, she signaled she would not say...
Does he cover the missing $2 million?
Yes, that's his last paragraph.
Okay.
You know what? He doesn't... Well, he wouldn't have it in here because he would know, but just from watching that thing, that the meeting they had last year for her to defend herself is the same meeting they talked about the attempted suicides in school being way out. And they just sidestepped that. It's great writing. Steve's a great writer. I wish when the Herald was around we had him.
Yeah, but it's obviously been like earth-shattering news in Melrose. I mean, so first of all, people were not pleased. If you listen to every Burn Barrel episode, you probably remember we covered this. The city of Melrose Public Schools went $2 million over their budget last year and didn't notice until this summer when they tried to close their books and couldn't do it because they were $2 million short, which is like absolutely unbelievable. So they had to go back to the city council who had approved the original budget and say, like, we need $2 million more actually, like, which is amazing that you can spend $2 million extra dollars and not notice. But anyway, so she oversaw that. The current school committee oversaw that. And of course, these are the same people who have gotten rid of Halloween, gotten rid of Columbus Day, gotten rid of the school mascot, the Red Raiders. Now they're just a big letter M and all the other stuff. And so, of course, like, people are bringing all these things together to explain why she's so unpopular is because she's Miss Woke and, like, all her school districts that she's ever worked at are grossly mismanaged. So then out in the Melrose patch comes from Mike Karaji, who runs, I don't know if he does a bunch of patches in that area or what. He's actually like quite a good journalist. Like he would always go to everything. He went to tons of meetings and like really covered stuff in a way not all the patches do. The quality of the patch is like very variable depending on who works at them in an area. And he's like very enterprising and good. And I should just add as full disclosure, like he was very nice and complimentary to me because because I wrote like an article for the patch, because they take like user submissions at the patch too, that was like all about these election finance violations by the City of Melrose Democratic City Committee. And it was like the most hate clicked article. Like it came out again later that year when they did the end of the year, like the top articles of the year. They like brought it back and emailed it back out to everybody. And I assume it got some good revenue for the patch, because he like messaged me and was like, "This is so nice. Thank you for writing something. Even if I don't personally agree with what you wrote, like I'm so glad you wrote on the patch. Like that's great," because I'm sure they like made money off it, because so many people in that town were freaking viciously mad at me and clicked on that article. So anyway, but Mike Karaji wrote, and I'm sure he's a big liberal, whatever. So he wrote that we should not be divisive about Julie Kukenberger leaving, and that while it's fair that she mismanaged the $2 million thing, it's people are making personal attacks.
But that's the soccer flop, of course.
And it has nothing to
divisive. She's offensive.
Right. It has nothing to do with wokeness. Kukenberger's not headed home because of the district's mishandling and miscommunication of the school budget. No, it's because she spent too much time focusing on canceling Halloween. Surely the prior finance director would have had better practices if the sports team name had not been changed. Heck, the schools probably would be sitting on millions if the school committee had let Columbus Day remain on the calendar. Of course, none of this is true. Kukenberger wasn't ripping up finance reports in order to push through a progressive agenda. She wasn't ignoring calls from the city CFO because she had DEI chiefs on the other line. Her uncomfortable changes weren't the reason this happened, despite what the people who don't like uncomfortable change say. But this flawed thinking allows those she offended to conflate culture war issues with practical school ones. Well, and here's where I think he's way off, because the left has consistently told us, including people like Mike and all the other woke idiots in Melrose, they all say over and over, when you say like, don't you have more important stuff to be doing? Don't you have a lot of student suicides? Aren't your test scores in the toilet? Isn't your financial statement a mess? Like, isn't all this other stuff going on? Don't you have enough to do without retooling the whole school mascot and like repainting the gym? And they're like, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do both. Stop. Why can't we do both things at once? Like, well, apparently you can't walk and chew gum at the same time because you found time for all this other crap, right? You had time to be emailing Jen McAndrews' kid about getting rid of the mascot, but not enough time to go through the financial reports from the school.
I had forgotten that. That's right. She planted the idea in the kid to organically bring it up as an idea. I forgot about that. What a dirtbag.
From the school committee chair's kid, right? This is how ridiculous this town is. And then they sit here and tell you, like, it has nothing to do with the fact that she canceled Halloween. Like, well, but people do have limited energy and time in their day, right? Like, reworking the school calendar or changing the school mascot does take energy. It takes a lot of energy to organize the American Indian activists to come to your school board meeting.
Yes, it's precisely the fact that she herself is an activist, and that's what she's there to do. And so she wasn't doing wonky school boardy things, superintendent stuff.
Just go through the financial statements and make sure the kids aren't killing themselves. Is that too much to ask? Just make sure the teachers teach enough math so that your school district's not 2 years behind after a stupid pandemic. You know, you could try that. But no, you're doing this like Halloween junk and Columbus Day crap. Like, stop it. But no, we can do both. We can walk and chew gum. That's what they always say, like, in this condescending way. I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Well, apparently you can't. Because neither the school committee nor Julie Kukenberger bothered to do the actual the boring part of being on the school committee, which is like doing the finances, right? Nobody wants to do that kind of work. They all want to like sign petitions about stuff and like do things about climate change and make Melrose a sanctuary city. Like, can you just like collect the taxes and make the schools and the snowplows go and like the normal things that you need to do? I know it's not fun and sexy and exciting, but like that's the stuff that needs to happen in municipal government. But all these progressives just use it as a launching pad for their progressive career and never do anything. But I don't know. It's like a sore subject with me. It's so stupid. And, you know, it just proves that you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, right? It proves that these people are grossly incompetent and they're only in these roles for the most ideological reasons. And And then you end up with a mess like you have in Melrose and all these other cities and towns. Like, why are we giving these people money? Why are they passing overrides? It's so insane to me. But like they say, democracy ensures that people get the government they deserve. And, that's what they get in Melrose
so
now.
we should probably head to the chat because you got to get going, my friend. You got a partying to do.
I guess so.
You going to dance with anybody? Oh, I don't know. If somebody asks me.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Wow. All right. Okay.
You can come too, by the way. Toscana's in Peabody, 6:30 p.m. or whatever p.m. I'm not going to be there at 6:30, obviously.
I am a doting husband and father of children, Alice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stay here and be caring nurturer for our kids. What is this? Okay, here we go. Ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
It's Dr. Cheswick here.
Hey.
Listen, I didn't want to have to break my silence, but we don't really talk about Bohemian Grove ever since Dick Nixon let loose during his Watergate tapes. And somebody found it on one of the reels. We've kind of kept a tight lid on it.
Is that true?
So please just remember, it's a secret. Oh, what's that noise? Listen, I gotta go. Praise the owl.
Is that true?
Merrick Garland. It is kind of a secret. It's an unmentioned thing, unsaid thing. But
I haven't heard
Rush
of
talked
it.
about going once, I believe.
Wow.
Let's see.
So, how much more money does Ukraine need? Because I need that money to fuel my gambling addiction. Daddy needs his money. Daddy needs his money.
I hear the game in the background. I hear
Have you ever thought about becoming a Ukrainian actor and comedian, Justin? Because that seems to be quite a lucrative gig.
Absolutely got a nice book deal.
Okay, I have another riddle for you all. It's not a funny riddle.
John and Wakefield.
And it's not really a riddle.
All right.
It's more of an identity from math, Okay, so follow along. All right. So crops are two people. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Crops are two people as...
Crops,
like things that grow in the ground.
Are
like...
two people as... Here we go.
Monsanto is to... Anyone?
To people.
Anyone? Pfizer Moderna. That's my pun, or that's my riddle.
Crops
okay.
are to people as Monsanto is to Pfizer Moderna. I don't get it. I'm not a great student, John, if you didn't know this. Because crops feed people, where Monsanto also feeds people, though, doesn't it? Do they do other stuff?
Well, they do like bioengineered crops.
Yeah.
And so I think he's saying, and so like Pfizer and Moderna like bioengineer the people.
Ah, very smart. You're sharp, Alice. Thank you, John. I get it now. Alice held my hand like Giselle Fetterman and walked me through it.
Hey, Shaddix, Mike and Groveland here.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Just want to let you guys know I'm just really excited about being able to help Cody on his path to home ownership. Though if he's struggling to pay off $30,000, which is what the cost of a car these days, and it's really going to be tough to finance a home. But that's just me.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that
Yes.
Mike Karaji of The Patch also has been very public in the news
Yes.
about his need for us to pay off his student debt
I just
too.
think we were running out of
so
time,
I'm glad.
Alice,
I know, but I'm glad that my article in The Patch was able to help him on his path to financial freedom, because he was in the news talking about how, you don't have to play anything on it, but he was in the news back in August when they first announced this, saying that he and his wife had $150,000 in student debt, and they really need our help, the taxpayers, to pay it off for them.
One last thing, by the way, that was our last one for tonight.
Of course, they live in a more expensive town than we do.
Alice.
Yes. Okay, I'm focused.
Is there not a stressing piece of breaking news that we need to tell people?
Is there?
There was a criminal acquittal today.
Oh, right.
Thomas Shattuck was thrown into the docks today, into Newburyport District Court, criminal court, with my little wife weeping there and my little son crying, indeed, for criminal driving without a license.
On a suspended license.
On a suspended license, which is a long story. thrown in front of the judge, a hanging judge, by the way.
I think a clerk magistrate, but okay.
She was a hanging judge.
Okay.
And acting as my own attorney, I was able to argue the case and convince the jury, Alice.
Mostly she walked in the door and said, "Did you fix your license issue?" And we said yes. And she said, "Then I'm going to just dismiss everything."
But my prepared remarks, I think, had quite an effect on the day.
I bet they did.
And I have been vindicated. I am a free man. Alice, we could have been doing this as my one phone call. Or no, as in those divider things, and they do in prisons. It could have been one of those things. But no, the criminal justice system sometimes gets it right, and I was set free today.
Congratulations,
You know what?
honey.
We should have set up some microphones in Newburyport, the steps of
so
Newburyport
that you could
courthouse.
do a little bit of a presser.
I'm a free man.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and I assume for all your congratulations on Tom's freedom now.
By the way, Newburyport News, print that. I'd like to see that printed. They don't mind printing, when I was viciously arrested and taken down by the 5-0.
Did they print that?
I don't think so. But I want them to print that I was vindicated, that I was acquitted.
Okay, yes.
After careful
all
deliberation.
Charges dismissed. Very good, honey. So anyway, if you want to join us on future live shows, you can do that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. But you can always find our shows for free at burnbarrelpodcast.com. There's links to a bunch of places to listen. You can watch on YouTube. You can watch on Rumble. And you can always talk to us on Twitter, Facebook, and burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com.